As the Israel-Hamas war drags on into its 12th day, backlash against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is growing at home. In the latest, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert has heavily criticized Netanyahu, saying his legacy will be a complete failure. Olmert served as Israel's Prime Minister from 2006 to 2009. He said Netanyahu's terrible mistake was his decision to promote Hamas for his own short-term political interests, while sidelining the Palestinian Authority, which Olmert says could have been a credible partner for renewed peace talks. Olmert said that when Netanyahu took over in 2009, he said the first priority was to destroy Hamas. But he says that Netanyahu did the exact opposite. Earlier this week, a poll revealed that 4 out of 5 Jewish Israelis believe the government and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are to be blamed for the mass infiltration of Hamas terrorists into Israel and the massacre that followed. An overwhelming majority, 86% of the respondents, said the surprise attack from Gaza is a failure of the country's leadership. Furthermore, 94% of the Israelis believe the government must bear some responsibility for the lack of security preparedness that led to the assault. Over half of the over 600 respondents also said that Netanyahu must resign over the security lapse. And for more on this, we're now being joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal, live from Tel Aviv. Siddhant, thank you so much for joining us. Now, as I mentioned, there is growing backlash back at home against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. What can you tell us of the situation on ground currently?
Well, I'm right now here in Tel Aviv, where the family members of the hostages have gathered. They've gathered hoping that they will able to send their message to President Biden. With me is Ellie. His daughter has been kidnapped. He's here to protest and, of course, talk about it. Sir, welcome to WION. I know you're going through a very painful period of your life, but essentially, if you can tell us, what do you hope when it comes to President Biden's visit, if you can talk about that?
What I have to say to Biden, that we're proud of him, that he supports and understands the situation. The situation is not only the kidnap, it's not only my daughter's story, it's my daughter's story and 200 people. And you see a lot of photos of a lot of girls, young people, old people, that suffering. In each photo that you have a family. And the family is behind her, it's like hundreds people that suffering. Not me only as my father suffering, it's all Israel suffering. And it's not only about the kidnap, it's about the 1,300 they kill in one day. And what we want to say that we want only to live. We are peace of people and we all want to live. And we want that will be end this situation for not only 1 day or 2 days, for all the life, because...
So, yes. Talking about your story, sir, if you can talk about from where your daughter was kidnapped, and have you reached out to the government as well?
Yes, my daughter, she's 18 years old. She was kidnapped in Nahal Oz. She was working there, and they take her from the bed, she and another 7 girls. A lot of people they murdered, and we have evidence that she is in the life. She was in the jeep of the army jeep of the Hamas. She and another 4 girls that they are healthy, in good conditions. We have evidence. So as they take her, we want it back in the same conditions. All of the girls that was in the jeep, they was in good conditions, not injury. And this is what I can say about this bad situation.
So my final question, have you reached out to the government? Have you reached out to the Prime Minister here as well? I believe the Prime Minister met with the family members of the hostages as well.
I didn't meet him yet. And I don't know if what he can tell us in these kind of situations. Because in this moment we have a war and he have to work. And I'm sure that everybody support him to work, but to bring the children back home today. This is our message and this is what we want to say to the world. because you see all these people, the nice people, the Israeli people, most of them I don't know them. Some of them are my family, some of them even I don't know, but they are come and won't say they proud to God and to everybody to help us in this kind of situation.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION. I know it's a very painful period. If my camera person can show the picture of his daughter, she was kidnapped, and the family members here are protesting. It's clearly written that October 7th, nearly 200 innocent civilians were abducted from Israel into Gaza Strip. Their whereabouts remain unknown. More than 3,000 women, men, children ranging from the age of 3 months to 85 years old were wounded, murdered, beaten, raped, brutally separated from their loved ones by Hamas. And clearly a strong message the family members are trying to send to the world, standing here in Tel Aviv on a day when the US President Joe Biden will be traveling. We know that his visit is being seen as a visit of solidarity, and many people here are hoping that there will be some kind of solution so that their loved ones are released. Let my camera person show you the atmosphere around me, the family members and many of their supporters now gathering here in Tel Aviv, where near the hotel where the US President will be coming, and they have their posters up, they have their flags up, they have the American and the Israeli flags up, and it's kind of silence. It's a kind of silence. They're trying to send a message through the grief. They're not shouting, they're not chanting anything, but they're just sending a message through their silence about the situation of the hostages. Remember, 200 Israelis are still under the custody of Hamas, and that is why that pains them. There are other people here as well. There are approximately more than 1,400 Israelis who died as well. But essentially the situation, we know that it remains precarious, and for these family members it is a very painful period.
Right, absolutely, Siddhant. I can only imagine. Thank you so much for bringing us the voices of the families of the hostages. And as we've been discussing so far as well, that the hostage situation, that remains a major concern, with the US President Joe Biden also about to arrive in Israel in a short while from now. How do you think Israel will be able to deal with the hostage situation? Do you think in any capacity this will limit Israel's actions on ground?
Well, there are many things on the table for the Israeli government. A ground offensive is something that the Israeli government is looking to. It's been more than 1 week since the terror attacks happened, and there is a strong sense of grief in this country. But for Prime Minister Netanyahu, it's a break-or moment as well, because if he's seen lags, then he faces a bleak future. But let me show you again how now the family members are present on the ground, and they are, of course, hoping to get justice. But if my camera person can showcase you a wall in front of me, that wall has the pictures of all the people who have been kidnapped. It is beyond this road. If my camera person can zoom in and showcase you, and there the family members are present and trying to talk about their issues, their problems, and what they are going through. If we like to speak to other people who are gathered here, sir, would you like to say anything? You're here to support the family members. How do you plan to support the family members who are standing here and hoping that their loved ones can be returned?
I think the best I can do is just sympathize and be here with them, and call our government to free the people, free the people that were kidnapped, because it's really, really hard for the families.
Where have you come from? You're from Tel Aviv?
I'm from Tel Aviv, yes.
And essentially, what do you know about the hostage situation in a sense that how many people do you think are in the custody? Because numbers have been
I don't know. We keep hearing various numbers. I know it's hundreds, but nobody knows exactly.
But what do you expect from your government in this time when your country has faced the worst period?
It's a tough question. I expect this government to resign and to give other people the opportunity to do better things, because I think that they are part of making this situation happen.
Essentially, when it comes to next few days, how do you see the situation panning out? If you can talk about that as well, here in Tel Aviv and across Israel.
think here in Tel Aviv it's tolerable. I think the important is in Gaza and in the north. Hopefully it will not develop into something which is way more serious for all of us and for the region. I think that we should continue fight Hamas, but we should probably separate it from the Palestinian people and be sympathized for them and free the Palestinian people from Hamas as well, hoping for a better future for all of us.
So clearly a very strong message by people here in Israel. They talked about Hamas, they talked about the Palestinians as well, but that's the view on from the ground here in Tel Aviv. Back to you in the studio.
Well, thank you so much, Siddhant, again for bringing us the voices of families of the hostages. You mentioned rightly that there are some pertinent issues that have been raised by the people here, saying that there should be a distinction between Hamas and the Palestinian people, as well as I was mentioning earlier, the growing backlash for Benjamin Netanyahu and government. Well, thank you so much, Siddhant, for bringing us all the latest on ground currently. We will, of course, continue to track all the developments closely. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.